everyone. Yesterday, I went over all the exciting screenshots that Frost Giant provided to content creators at the summit last week, all the in-game stuff. But today, I want to talk about concept art. And for those of you that are excited about the lore, all the stories that they're going to be building, this one is absolutely for you. So we're going to start with terrain. Up until this point, all that Frost Giant has shown us is forest terrain, something that they're calling the Hinterlands. We saw one screenshot of a couple levels of that in the in-game video yesterday. It's foresty, it's nice, it's pretty, it's lush, it's green, it's full of life, and it really does showcase that optimism inherent in that optimistic post-apocalyptic future that Frost Giant has been talking about. I mean, just look at this. They're sun-raised, we got pretty flowers, there are 4 terrain levels, again, we saw that yesterday. But the Hinterlands looks like the type of place that I'd love to go on a camping trip, go back. I mean, it really is beautiful. But unfortunately, it appears that the hothouse Earth scenario, this runaway climate change, and the endless war that the infernal invasion has rendered other parts of the world less habitable, to put it charitably. In the summit, Frost Giant described what we have here, the Deadlands, as a nuclear wasteland. And that seems fairly accurate. It's got caustic green water or yellow water, depending on the picture. There's no vegetation, and the skulls of dead infernals are literally littering the landscape. That seems pretty dead to me. It's like Wild West, but you crank it up to 11, 12, 13, 20, 100, something like that. The interesting thing, though, is that it was described as a nuclear wasteland in the summit, which tells us something about the state of A, human weaponry at the time of the invasion, and B, just how dire things were if people were willing to nuke whole swaths of the earth to hold the infernals. And I would like to remind you that this is Earth that is already issues. There are already areas of the Earth that we assume were uninhabitable based on this hothouse Earth scenario, rising sea levels. There would have been very or less habitable land in the Earth, in the world of Stormgate compared to the world that we have now. So being willing to nuke entire swaths of it and making it really uninhabitable to make sure that the infernals don't win and you can shoot them back that's a really big statement, even if they're not intentionally making that just kind of off that topic, or making that contact based purely off that kind of one-off, it's a nuclear wasteland. The second Deadlands image, though, gives us a look at potential UI on top of this toxic wasteland. Before we talk about this, though, I should point out that this UI is outdated, and the gameplay footage debuting at the PC Gaming Show on July 11th or June 11th is already different, so keep that in mind. That being said, it does give us an idea of maybe where they want to go, where their kind of design thinking is, where their ideas are when they talk about UI design. There are 3 key pieces of info from the UI that I want to point out that we can see. There are 2 resources, as discussed in Winter's dev interview last year. We talked about it yesterday within the context of the Therium refinery, whatever that is. There's a merge command card, and we can see that there is supply. And importantly, whatever building that is, doesn't seem to be generating any sort of supply, which is interesting because Frost Giant has said at one point that they're interested in having other structures maybe provide supply. They may be beyond that now. We do know that the habitat was a supply structure, but it's just worth pointing out. And also, according to Frost Giant's Gerald Vioria in the Stormgate Nexus Discord, they've already moved on from the blue and purple for resources. They do have names now. They may be a little bit more developed than, this blue resource, this purple resource. So it's going to be fun to see where the Therium fits into this. I've already said that I think this Therium is our secondary resource, whatever powers tech. But we don't know. We're going to find out. Maybe we're going to find out on June 11th. I don't know. Also, there is some fun exploration to the different toxic watercolors, which looks most likely to end your life in horrible and ghastly ways. Is it the orange, or is it, I guess that's yellow water? Is it the electric blue water? Is it the teal? Is it something else? I'm going to have to go with the electric yellow in the upper right. I mean, it looks the most menacing to me. But what do you think? Let me know. But now that we got this terrain out of the way, let's talk about some lore. So we know in the December dev update that prior to the infernal invasion, the Earth was dealing with this hothouse Earth scenario with rising sea levels, mass desertification, that kind of thing. Sea ice melting, no more glaciers, really bad stuff. So in response to that, maybe even the equator not being habitable, we don't know, but it's bad. So in response to that, global governments got together to found the Sigma projects, which were international scientific projects that were meant to solve the problems and keep Earth livable, automated agriculture, carbon capture, I guess things of that nature. But in the case of Sigma 6, They were kind of a pressure release, a last-ditch effort to provide an off-ramp to another planet, or maybe dimension, we don't know, should Earth become uninhabitable. Unfortunately for us, that off-ramp turned into an odd-ramp for a massive infernal invasion. It looks like we've got concept art of the Sigma-6 research facility both before and immediately after that invasion, because that blood right there doesn't really seem to have dried yet. It's very much immediately afterwards. Before that, all that nastiness, though, it seems that Sigma found something old beneath the Arctic, and we're basing their research off that. Note the massive infernal skull in the ice next to the walkway, as well as that big spine. I guess that's what that is next to it. Previous interviews gave the impression that this was original research, developing or redeveloping really something ancient. It's fun to see that the story has possibly evolved in a direction where the humans somehow knew about these infernals even before the invasion, because they found their carcasses and they found the Stormgate tech somewhere deep below the Arctic. Not really. Maybe it was a result of the melting. Maybe they found a skeleton or an ancient infernal base. We don't know. We're going to find out. And I think in general, these stills, these pieces of concept art are likely going to be from like Mission 1, Campaign 1. As we find out, okay, what happens at the very beginning of this invasion, we start to learn about that story. That's my assumption. We don't know. That's not something that was said in the summit. This is, again, just kind of some interpolation. But regardless, I can't wait to hear more about that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, these campaigns, I think, from some things I've heard, they're going to be interesting. They're going to be, hopefully they're going to be well told. Of course, that wonderful research station, though, got destroyed when the first Stormgate was turned on. And the interesting thing here, though, is figuring out whether the Infernals were busting into the lab on the right. We can see it on the right side of this image, or attacking out, as the doors don't really have a clear direction of destruction. The doors aren't kind of popped outwards or popped inwards. They're just destroyed. So the big thing there is we don't know whether, again, the gantry kind of leads you towards this Stormgate kind of in an open area, or whether it was kind of more inside that bunker. I wonder if the Infernals end up using this research station as a base for their invasion, or maybe this was an old Infernal base that's kind of built up around it. That'd be fun. Finally, we've got a couple shots of what Frostshine is calling the look of show. And I don't know what this means, but we do have two headshots. And I think the thing that I think is a little more fun is a still that will, I assume, be a video, something rendered out, shown during the campaign. Maybe it's a trailer, not sure. In that still, we can see a scientist and a Sigma scientist and a soldier reacting to what I'm going to assume is this same initial infernal invasion that we kind of saw in those previous stills with all the explosions. In the background, you can see the same brass gantries about the outside of the Sigma-6 research station. So I'm assuming this is the same place. Well, that and the scientist clearly has a tablet that I would assume he's using to take notes on the initial Stormgate tests. And then we have that sparks that match, kind of right next to the soldier. We have these sparks that match the color of the Stormgate concept art from last year. And that does seem to complete the picture, which means I think these two characters that we see in this animation are doomed to die. I don't know that anyone survived the first infernal invasion. Who knows? Maybe that's the hero units that we see here on these two character stills. The one on the left is named Amara, and that is, we finally have a name for the woman. There was the screen, or the image that we were sent had a name attached to the file name. So there we go. And then some unnamed male hero. It seems like Amara is wearing some sort of form-fitting tech bodysuit. That means she might be the mech pilot in the trailer. I thought of that last year too, and it seems to be the case. That being said, it does seem to be like the soldier from the Stormgate test is also wearing similar armor, so maybe not. Maybe this is just kind of their baseline setup before you get into any sort of combat armor. I don't know. The big difference, though, from some of the initial Stormgate concepts is that Amara is much dirtier. She's clearly been through some things, and life is a little bit less happy for this character compared to what we saw kind of in the initial splash and all the art we saw, even on like the PC Gamer cover shot that we had at the start of late in December, started this year. We've also got this still unnamed male character in what looks like far more traditional knightly metal armor. I don't think that any of the unit concepts released really match what he's wearing, but I guess he might be a lancer. That's kind of my guess. Maybe that's something unrevealed. I don't know. But from the concept art revealed, he is by far the most mysterious. We don't have a name. He looks clean cut. He kind of looks like Kalaris a little bit. But other than that, we don't know. I guess he's going to be important. Otherwise, they would not keep including him in the stills. But who he is, what he does, what spot in the story he finds, well, That's still new. We still don't know. That's it, though. That's all the concept art, the lore that I can see based off this. And a reminder, if you want to have a chance to participate in any of the beta tests for the next year, make sure to sign up for the beta at playstormgate.com. People will be chosen from that list on a lottery basis through every stage, pre-alpha, alpha, beta, early access, whatever they end up doing. So maybe I'll see you there. Maybe I'll see you on the gate. Maybe I'll see you on the battlefield. Maybe I'll see you on the maps. I don't know. Whatever. There's going to be a term for it eventually, and we'll go from there. But if you do want more Stormgate content, I've got an interview with the CEO of Hathora that I will be recording in the next couple days. And that company, by the way, is the company that is providing the server infrastructure for Stormgate. That video will be out in the next couple weeks. So you want to figure that out, and you want to maybe hear about the musical direction of Stormgate. I'm trying to get an interview on that one. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it. I'll also be co-streaming the PC Gaming Show on twitch.tv/Beowulf at 4 p.m. on June 11th. That's 4 p.m. Eastern, with all of the gameplay goodness that they plan on showing. And again, gameplay footage of Stormgate on June 11th. So I'll see you there, and catch you next time.